Here's how to make a super simple crochet cardigan using only single crochet. You can use any yarn. I'm using this Lion brand Heartland Tweed yarn. It's a category 4 yarn in the color Black Canyon Tweed, and I used a little over 6 skeins. I'm using a size 6mm hook for the whole project, but you can adjust this if you want tighter or looser stitches. So I first want to show you this drawing just to demonstrate how we're going to make the main portion. We're going to make one big rectangle. This middle part is going to be the back of your cardigan, and then the two sides are going to be the front panels. And then this is where we're going to place the armholes, which is really easy to do. So we're going to be working rows of single crochet back and forth this way for the first side, then make the armhole, then the back portion, another armhole, and then the second side. To get the measurements you need, you first want to measure how wide you want your cardigan. So you can measure on another cardigan that you like the fit of or across yourself, and that's going to give you that back measurement. So for me, that's 25 inches. You can also measure in centimeters. Then you're going to take that number and divide it by 2, so for me that's 12.5, then subtract 2, so I would get 10.5, but I'm just going to round to 10, and that's going to be my measurements for either side. If you're using centimeters, just divide that back measurement by 2 and subtract 5 centimeters to get the side measurements. I should also point out that you need to measure how long you want your cardigan, so you'll want to measure from your collarbone area to wherever you want it to hit on the bottom. I just decided to do 30 inches, but it's totally up to you. So let's get started. Go ahead and make a slip knot, then make a chain that when unstretched is the length you want, so for me 30 inches. Then in the second chain from the hook, make a single crochet and keep working single crochets all the way down the chain. When you get to the end, chain 1 and turn, then work a single crochet into the back loops only all the way down. And then just keep working rows of back loop single crochet until you reach the correct measurement for the first side, which for me is 10 inches. And then in the next part, I'm going to show you how to make the armholes. This is part 2 of how to make a super simple crochet cardigan. So we just finished making this first side, and now we need to make the first armhole. You'll want to measure the circumference you want for your armhole. I want mine to be 14 inches around, so I'm going to divide that by 2 to get 7, and that will be my measurement for right here. You can make the armhole as small or as big as you want, just depending on how loose or tight you want your sleeve. So I now need to measure 7 inches down that next row. I'm going to grab my tape measure and measure down from the end of that last row down 7 inches, and then I'm going to place a stitch marker at that 7-inch mark. Now you'll want to count how many stitches you have from the beginning of your row to the stitch right before your stitch marker. I had 24 stitches, which means I'm going to make a chain of 24. So just make a chain that's the same number of stitches in that section. Then make a back loop single crochet into that stitch marker stitch, and just keep working back loop single crochets the rest of the row. And then when you get to the end of the row, just work back up the same way that you've been doing. Okay, so now I'm back to the armhole, and you'll just want to work one single crochet into each chain space, so you should have maintained the same number of single crochets in this row that you had in all the other rows. Now just keep working rows of back loop single crochet until you have the correct measurement for your back portion, then make another armhole the exact same way, then make the second side portion, which should have the same amount of rows from the first side. However, you'll want to end at the top of the work on your last row, so if one side has one more row than the other, that's okay. So here's what the final piece will look like. Don't fasten off yet. In the next part, I'll show you how we're going to construct this to make the main portion. This is part 3 of how to make a super simple crochet cardigan. First, we want to work a row of single crochet along the top of this piece. So we just finished our last row, and now we're working along the top. You're going to want to chain 1 and then just work one single crochet into each row. There aren't super clear places to insert your hook. Just do your best to make sure there's the same number of single crochets as there are rows, but it's okay if it's not perfect. When you get to the armholes, just work one single crochet into that armhole space and then just keep working across. When you get to the end, go ahead and finish off. Now we're going to fold over each side and sew along the top so the armholes are on either side. Start with one side, and that one single crochet that you put in the armhole is going to be the very edge. Insert your hook into the single crochets on either side of that armhole stitch, pull your yarn through, chain one, and then make a single crochet into that same space. Then again, insert your hook into both corresponding stitches and work a single crochet. Keep doing that all the way until you get to the end of that side. So you can see how I'm doing that here, just by inserting my hook through both stitches on each side and then working a single crochet. When you get to the end, go ahead and fasten off, then do the same exact thing to the other side. So now you have the main body portion done. You can see our armholes here on either side, and in the next part I'm going to show you how to make the arms and attach them. This is part 4 and the last part of how to make a super simple crochet cardigan. First, you'll want to measure how long you want the arms to be. I recommend just trying on the body portion and then taking the arm measurement like that. Then make a chain that, when unstretched, reaches that measurement. Again, you're just going to work rows of back loop single crochet. To figure out how many rows to make, count how many stitches you have around your armhole, which is going to be however many chains you made for your armhole times 2. So I had 24 chains, which means I have 48 stitches around, so I'm going to make 48 rows for each arm. After your last row, fold the arm in half and single crochet the 2 sides together by inserting into the single crochet and then into the corresponding chain from the beginning, and just work single crochets all the way down. When you get to the end of that row, chain 1 and work a row of single crochet along the edge of your arm. So just work 1 single crochet into each row. And then when you get back to the beginning, just slip stitch into that first single crochet in that round. And you don't need to fasten off yet. Now we're just going to attach the arm onto the armhole and make sure you have the seam from the top facing out. So to attach the arm, you're going to want to chain 1 and turn, and then insert your hook into a stitch on the armhole and then into the single crochet on your arm and work a single crochet, and just keep stitching together single crochet all the way around. When you get back to the beginning, go ahead and slip stitch to the first single crochet and fasten off. Then do that same exact thing for the other arm. Then, just to finish everything off, we're going to work a border of single crochet along each edge. So just attach your yarn on one corner and work a row of single crochet along the bottom and then around the front and around the end of each arm. And that's it. Let me know if you have any questions.